Okay, we are live. It is Sunday, and you know what that means. It is another episode of Decentralization Sunday. Now, let's just make sure that we are going because I just clicked streaming about, I don't know, 1 second ago, and there was a little bit of an error there. Let's see, because I got some shit to talk about. Okay, we are live. It is Sunday. I sound good. I look good. All right, let's get into it. So, it is Sunday, and you know what that means. That's right. It's another episode of Decentralization Sunday. Here we go. Decentralization. Decentralize your life. Okay, some of you people out there that might be your first time to this channel, you might be going, what is decentralization? What do you mean by that, Mr. American Curmudgeon? Well, I tell you, dear viewer, it is anything that is decentralized from streaming, from subscription fees, from any kind of ads, ad revenue, taking any of your information, data mining, anything like that. No, it is old school and representing old school and celebrating old school and actually enjoying the media that is not in any way uh, it is not obsolete. It is still alive. And what I mean by that is, of course, VHS tapes, CDs. Some of you might know them as compact discs. And of course, DVDs and cassettes. No vinyl. I don't do vinyl. It's too clunky. It's very heavy to if you're going to move. That's very heavy to move, and also very very expensive because it is hip. No, CDs and DVDs are where it's at. It is literally the best way to enjoy media. Now, this week we're going to be going back in time, back to the halcyon days of the early 1990s, way before YouTube, way before you had any kind of on-demand viewing of anything, and you just have a thought, remember when Kiss was on the Paul Lynde special? Yeah, we just go on YouTube and find it. No, we did not do that back in the 90s. We had to buy, and really what it comes down to is seeing live footage of any of your favorite bands. So that's why if you were lucky enough that your unscrupulous owner of your neighborhood record store stocked illegal bootleg tapes like mine did, and I'm specifically talking about off the record. Don't worry, statute of limitations have long passed. We are talking easily 35 years ago. And also, the store is long closed. That was on the corner of 4th Street and Main Street in lovely downtown Royal Oak, Michigan. And on a shelf was bootleg VHS cassettes. And I've got here a whole mess of them, specifically by the bands Faith No More and Mr. Bungle. Now, if you don't know who Faith No More is, specifically if you don't know who Mr. Bungle is or who Mike Patton is, I don't know what to tell you. You've had since 1988 to know who these people are. And if you're not familiar with Mike Patton, Faith No More, or Mr. Bungle, get yourself educated because I ain't here to do it for you. Okay? Now, Faith No More and Mr. Bungle used to be two of my absolute favorite bands. I've since kind of moved on from them, but I never got rid of any of my VHS. I never will get rid of any of my VHS. So these are all things that probably with just a little flick of the bean, you could find them all on YouTube. But like specifically, this is for, say, Live in Brazil, 1991. Now you're like, well, what does that look like? I'll show you exactly right now. Over my humble VHS player and recorder, we're going to hit stop. We're going to eject that because that is also another sort of bootleg. That's Kiss, The Second Coming. No, here we go. Kiss, Behind the Paint. This is after they got back together back in 1996. I believe this came out, or they showed this on VH1 back in 2001. My girlfriend at the time, who ended up being my current and only wife, she taped it for me, and that's when I knew one of these days I'm going to make sure that after she divorces her first husband that I pick up the pieces, okay? But that's a whole other podcast. Now, let's pop in Faith No More live at the Rock and Rio Festival in Brazil in 1991. And I'm going to show you what a bootleg looks like back in the 90s. I'll pop it in right there. Okay. Now, it's because they're bootlegs, you're going to see a whole lot of like, okay. So you're going to, it's not the best sound quality. Um, it's not the best quality picture wise either. So there you go. So this is obviously something that was shown on television in Rio de Janeiro back in 1991, big Rock and Rio 2 festival. And we're going to see a young Mike Patton and a young Faith No More band play their favorite, their biggest hit, Epic. Okay. So let's see. All right. Well, whatever. I'm going to fast forward through there. A little bit of like, okay. All right, everybody. Faith No More is playing right now, and we're going to okay. Up, see, Mike Patton's wearing a Kingdom Come T-shirt, and they're talking Brazilian right now. Is that Spanish? I'm not sure. And they're interviewing them before they go on stage. Let's see. Oh, you can see it pretty good. Okay. See, Mike Patton, Faith No More. I think he is a young and pink 21, 22 years old in this footage. Jim Martin, big, sick, ugly Jim Martin when he was still in the band. Roddy Bottom, proud gay man. Mike Patton, when he was the new upstart after Chuck Mosley. All right, let's get to the shit. I just wanted to show you some of like when you buy a bootleg back in those days. This is actually not really representative of the shit that you would get because it's professionally shot. A true bootleg. Yeah, there you go. See? They're playing this song from out of nowhere. Can you hear that at all? You probably can't. But you get what I'm saying. So this is pro shot. In fact, some of these tapes might even say the word pro shot on there. They have like the quality, they have like a quality, see, professionally shot quality ratings. Note each generation will result in some loss of sharpness and color. See? So this was a whole sort of like illegal enterprise going on that I was happy to partake in because I loved collecting concert footage of my favorite bands. And like I said, this is pre YouTube. You had to get bootlegs in order to see this stuff. Okay. So a better representation of what I'm talking about would be the Mr. Bungle stuff that's later. So and of course you can see how it's all like Xeroxed and kind of cut and pasted. It's super like cheap. And that's what it is. It's just, you go and you buy them. I think your average price for these tapes was $20. That was your average price for them. Like this is Faith No More Angel Dust Tour in Hollywood, California, January 22nd, 1993. And then of course I went ahead and I wrote down all the songs. Caffeine falling to pieces, blah 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 blah. So this one is a kind of a better example because it's not pro shot. It is literally a bootleg, which is what we're talking about over here. So let's pop that in. I'm not going to bother giving you the blow by blow. It'll just eventually show up in a second. And then, we've got like Mr. We've got Mr. Bungle, okay? Fast Lane, Asbury Park, New Jersey, 1992. So I have like, yep, Fast Lane. That was a bar in New Jersey. This one was really good. This is Mr. Bungle, Toronto, September 1992. This one is a really, really good one. Like it was totally bootlegged, but the person didn't jiggle the camera that much. Here's another one. This is going back. Mr. Bungle, right when the album came out, the first album. This is August 1st, 1991 in Sacramento, California. Did they spell Sacramento correctly? That doesn't look right. But and the fourth and final and earliest one, this is Mr. Bungle with their awesome old school logo. And speaking of old school, this is Mr. Bungle in Santa Rosa, California, 1989. Everybody in the band is pretty much the same age as I am, and I'm willing to bet that they were 21 years old. And I think they probably all graduated in 1986. So, and then here is a little bonus right here. This is, I didn't mention this on the thumbnail. This is Fugazi. That's right. Ian MacKaye from the band Minor Threat. His other band, very, very legendary band from DC. This is at the Cameo Theater. And look, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, look how old school this is. Look how, like, Xeroxed and shit this is. Now, this is absolutely not pro shot. And as you can see, last time I played it, I didn't bother. I was not kind, and I did not rewind, okay? So, there you go. And, okay, so this is a perfect example. Look, see? They're doing, like, calisthenics. This is a bootleg. That's exactly what it is. And, this is all over, people bootleg concerts all the time. But there's no such thing as phones. You weren't shooting it on a phone. So you had to figure out a way to smuggle a VHS. And back in those days, dude, a VHS camera was this big. You had to kind of carry it on your shoulder, Like we're not even talking like the little Hi8 guys that was this small in the mid 2000s. No, this is 1992. Okay, huge recorders. How are you smuggling this in? Who the hell knows? I don't know how. I never bothered trying to bootleg bands. I shot in my own band. I would bring a VHS recorder and give it to a friend of mine to shoot my band, but I didn't have to smuggle anything in. It wasn't illegal. I wasn't going to get in trouble. Dude, speaking of Mike Patton, one of Mike Patton's projects called Phantomas, with Dave Lombardo on drums from Slayer and King Buzzo from the Melvins on guitar, and Trey from, not Trey Spruance. Fuck, what the hell's a goddamn, I can't remember the bass player's name in Mr. Bungle. Anyways, they were in Phantomas together. And I brought just a regular camera, dude, and security grabbed my camera and smashed it. So no, like it was a completely different endeavor. Now that camera phones are, as commonplace as can be, and everybody shoots everything. I mean, if you hear of a band playing, the next day you're going to be able to see footage of it. That's why half the time it's like my old ass, I don't even bother paying to see concerts anymore because I already know I'm going to end up seeing it on YouTube. And then more times than not, I find out, oh, that wasn't even worth it. I'm glad I didn't spend the money, So here is a true bootleg. This is Nirvana with openers Tad at the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor, Michigan, 1990. That's right. This is right when Bleach came out, the very first album. See? They had their old drummer, Chad Channing. This is pre Dave Grohl. Nirvana with Tad opening up. There's Tad on the back. If you don't know anything about Tad, do your research. Tad is literally the only true grunge band that ever actually came from. Yeah, Mudhoney, sure. Screaming Trees, sure. But definitely not. We're not, no. Alice in Chains was never grunge. Nope, it was Tad. It was Tad. And I wouldn't even really say Nirvana was grunge because Nirvana was always too poppy. They sounded very commercial. They just needed a good producer, which they ended up getting in a little known album called Nevermind. Anyway, so here's the deal with this particular tape. Guess what? I was at this show. That's right. So I remember this gig. That's right, Ann Arbor. Not that far away from where I'm sitting right now in lovely southern Michigan, the dumpster fire that is Ferndale, Michigan. So there you go. There you can see Faith No More playing in Hollywood, California in 1992 when they were still young and then when they were still together. So here's a little added bonus, and I'll end the show like this. Not every single bootleg came this cheaply packaged. You know, there's no nothing written down, you know, just on some random Fuji VHS cassette. It's really all just about like, pump and dump, churn them and burn them, get the product out there, make your easy $20, And miraculously, I stumbled upon some pretty good quality bootlegs out there. Then you got some that are actually in more sort of like actual packaging. This is Van Halen at the US Festival in 1983. You turn it around, you see all the credits, all of the songs, the set lists, the encores, everything. I wouldn't say this is the greatest. You can find actually better quality on YouTube, but this was the best I can get. And it had the sticker. See? That's not bad. Oh, you see, I wasn't kind and I didn't rewind this one either. But if you cherish and love the early Van Halen like I do, the David Lee Roth era, then I would definitely recommend, because here's another thing. Speaking of bootlegs, all early Van Halen from footage from 1978 through about 1984, the David Lee Roth years, they're all starting to come out. What's it been, 5 years since Eddie Van Halen kicked the bucket? So I don't know who sent the memo out. I don't know who lifted the injunction, but now all this Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth, when they were young, when he had the Brown sound, when they were still this shit hot band from Pasadena, California, it's starting to surface. So that's something to definitely inquire and also search out on YouTube. It's there. It's waiting for you. It's awesome. So the last two things I'll show you is this is a industrial band Ministry in 1990 on the Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste tour. This was them, I believe, in Texas. In fact, this person was selling a lot of stuff. He called his little company Videophile, the magazine you don't have to read to enjoy. Oh, I see. So it was a video magazine. Gotcha. This is in Fort Worth, Texas. So this is Ministry from Videophile magazine. Put this out January 28th, 1990. This is really, really vintage, awesome Ministry. And they put out a pro shot live album and live cassette from a VHS cassette from that tour, but that is completely bootlegged from the audience, and it's effing good. And last but not least, Lollapalooza. See, someone put the care into the packaging on this. This is pro shot and a lot of MTV footage when they did like some stuff talking about Lollapalooza. 92, I didn't bother going to see Lollapalooza, but this was the one with Ministry, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Ice Cube, and let's see, Dave Kendall and Jerry Bryant from YouTube. So it's got Ministry, Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think the band Lush, Ice Cube, and Soundgarden, and I think Pearl Jam. So there you go. But the only reason why I ended up getting this, and I think someone just left this at my house back in the day. I don't remember buying this, but I've had it for 33 years. It's a 33-year-old cassette. It's amazing. It's amazing that these things still play. I mean, this thing's playing right now. Look at it. Huh? It looks great. It actually looks amazing. The quality on it is solid. So I don't know. I think one of these nights I'm gonna have some cocktails and just kind of go down the VHS bootleg memory lane and just have a good time with it. So I just kind of wanted to show you any if any of you people don't remember when bootlegs were a thing, and if any of you don't remember that it was hard to see footage of bands playing live, this was your friend back in the day. Okay? This was your friend finding bootlegs and either doing tape trading where you're not paying any money and it's technically not really breaking any real laws because you're not actually making money. It was illegal. There's a little story about this that particular store in Royal Oak, Michigan called Off the Record on the corner of 4th and Main, where apparently years ago Glenn Danzig comes in there and just throws a massive shit fit and demands that all of his bootlegs be confiscated, and he wants to talk to the manager and he wants to get the money. And I knew people that worked there. I never worked there. But I don't know how that ended up, because years later they still had bootlegs for Misfit shows and Danzig shows. So who won here? Who won? You know who won? I won. All right. I will see you later. This was Decentralization Sunday, where we talk about the things that matter, which is anything that you don't have to have your data mined. You don't have to pay any subscription fees. And most of all, especially as of late, especially now that uh, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, pretty much all the streamers. I don't know if Spotify does it, but everybody is going back on their word of the original promise of having no ads. You pay the premium tier. You don't have to be bombarded with ads. No, you're bombarded with ads whether you like it or not. And Roku is one of the worst offenders. Well, when you watch something old from the old days, you don't gotta sit through any ads whatsoever. Okay. I will see you later with more American curmudgeon and more decentralization. Bye bye.